Welcome in. We are live on the sportsbookreview.com Major League Baseball show. It is Friday, and guess what, Jason? 105 people are already waiting in the lobby to get in here and say hello. We do thank you for that. Last night had some interesting doings, especially some late-night fireworks yesterday. But I got to tell you, Jason, laying it out on the line, the Baltimore Orioles team total, cashing quickly for you, brother.
Yeah, that was fun, right? The Yankees and the Orioles got out to 9 early runs in the first 2 innings. A lot of fun. And I did, tell some people, be careful about those Orioles. I know the Orioles lost, but it was a close game, and the Orioles probably should have won that game as well. The other funny thing, talking about the night games, the Padres obviously blowing their lead and then going crazy in extra innings to win that game. Also, I keep talking about the Mariners, how they're upset city, and I don't take them ever, even though they're getting all these upsets. So I'm ashamed of myself not taking the Mariners when I do think they're going to make these upsets because they've looked really good as of late. But yeah, whatever. It was an interesting day, but we went 2-2, so we'll take it.
No, exactly. When the bankers come in also yesterday with the Kansas City Royals, thought it was a little bit nice, Jason. Off the game 2-0 early on, a couple singles, and then all of a sudden they go barren for a while, get the 5th run in the 8th inning. In the 9th inning, get a man on second base with nobody out, and I wasn't able to cash that ticket. But hey, it's like getting a refund. You go back, get your ticket, get your money back, and keep it moving forward. So we'll see if we can provide those winners and have fun. It is a big weekend here, specifically on sportsbookreview.com. Basketball's kicked off. Hockey is starting to kick off tomorrow, as well as soccer continue to go strong. Let's bring it in for this week, a full week here on the Major League Baseball show. Jason, let's not waste any time. Huge card here. Thank you for the chat box. Let's get after it. 905, 906, Tampa Bay, Snell, Baltimore, and Cobb, 2 former teammates going head-to-head. 8 out of 10 tickets here coming in on Tampa Bay. If we open up at 213, 220, that's going in reverse here in the way of Baltimore. Hey, maybe they saw Baltimore's fighting the Yankees. They can certainly fight Tampa Bay. A heavy favorite here. If we take a look at both of these pitchers, Snell this year with 1 start, 2 innings, 0 earned runs. Cobb, how about this, Jason? 5.1 innings, 1 earned run. Baltimore worthy of another big dog today?
Yeah, I'd lean towards Baltimore at plus 175. Going into this game, we know Blake Snell is only going 3 to 5 innings. So when you factor that in, okay, well, now the line is minus 200 or above for a guy that's only pitching. Imagine that, right? So the Orioles are playing pretty well. They're playing solid baseball. They're at least hitting the ball. And Blake Snell, lefties hit him with a 329 average last season and 70 at-bats. Righty struggled just hitting 222. But, either way, I know the Orioles are probably more right-handed in their lineup, especially today. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, going 3 to 5 innings, why not look at the Orioles at plus 175?
No, it certainly makes sense when you take a look at it overall, because if you're looking for a dog that's fighting, Baltimore can bring the bats to town, and you're getting a home team almost at a 2-1 clip. Also, when we take a look at the total, Jason, Pinnacle Offshore at SBRodds.com opened up at 10. That now sits at 8.5. So maybe we're looking at more of a pitching matchup in this one as an offensive outburst. Do you view it that way? Do you agree with that line movement?
Yeah, I probably do. This will be an interesting one because, like you said, Cobb pitched well in his first start. Again, 5.1 innings, allowed just 1 run, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, and no walks. He looked good, and that's not a bad Boston lineup. I mean, we talk about how bad Boston is. We're talking about their pitching. We're not talking about their hitting. Their lineup, top to bottom, is pretty good for the most part. They showed the Mets, the last 2 games that they're capable of hitting the ball. Yeah, I agree with the line movement. I think Cobb could pitch well, and if Snell can stay in there for 5 innings, then you might have an under first 5 game here. For me, though, I'm staying away from this game.
Stuff. Elliot, Cody, Vincent, Ty, Jack, some guy named Donnie's in the chat box. Abdul Alvarez, Ken, Guan, welcome in. 170 people already watching the show. We don't ask much for you. All we ask you to do, if you have not subscribed yet to sportsbookreview.com, see that little button down there? It's red. Push it right there. You get the notifications delivered each and every day to your mail. When me and Jason go live at 1:30 Monday through Friday, you'll get all the information you need. Our first full week, it's been a lot of fun, and we got a lot of support. Let's keep it moving here. 907, 908, Boston and the New York Yankees. Weber on the mound versus the lefty Montgomery. 6 out of 10 tickets here coming in on those New York Yankees. And another one here, Jason. Offshore opens up at 227, 240, but quickly peeling back. You're seeing almost what? A 60% line move at Chris from 240 to 180. Are we believing in Boston? Have they woken up? But also keep in mind as well, when you say, hey, they're on the road, they're continuing on the road. They played last last night in New York. Where are they going to be tonight? Still in New York City. Probably don't have to change the same hotel. Should be a good matchup here, but big line movement here, Jason.
Yeah, it's a big line movement, and I'm not really sure I agree with it. I'm a big Yankee guy in this one. I like the Yankees over 5.5 in the team
Yeah.
total. Um, because of that line movement, I'm a little scared on what the outcome might be for this game. That's why I'll stick with the over 5.5 in the team total. They're going up against Ryan Weber. Weber was destroyed by the Orioles in his first start. 3.2 innings, allowed 6 hits, 6 runs, 2 home runs, and again they're playing in Yankee Stadium. 3 walks and no strikeouts in that game. He looked awful, and his Sierra was the biggest, highest number out of all starting pitchers in their first game. So a lot of hard hit contact coming from the Orioles against the Weber. Now the Yankees come in, and they should be able to have some hard contact against Weber in this one as well. We're talking about Jordan Montgomery for the Yankees going. Montgomery did pitch exhibition game for the Yankees against the Mets. I watched him in that game. He pitched really well in that game. He looked pretty solid. Obviously, the Mets offense was struggling at the time. They didn't look great offensively, but Montgomery is the guy. He had a 6.75 ERA last season in one start, 2 games, but I don't really think that really shares what Montgomery is. Had a 3.96 FIP in those 2 games, which was just 4 innings pitched. But I think Montgomery's a better pitcher than I think we're letting on to be. I don't think Weber is that great, to be fair. So, yeah, I like the Yankees here to score some runs in this one. Yankees over 5.5 the team total. I'd also look at over. I do think the Red Sox will score some runs in this game. I'm just more confident what the Yankees can do compared to what the Red Sox can do.
No, I agree with you because when you take a look at the New York Yankees, like let's just say Montgomery doesn't go longer stumbles. That is a deep bullpen that can certainly cover for you. And one question I wanted to ask, because, when you look at some runs that teams get on, and it's still really early. A couple years ago, it was the Dodgers couldn't lose. Like you just take the Dodgers on the run line -1.5. They were covering like each and every night. When you look at the Yankees, and it looks you don't get an exorbitant number like 6.5, 7.5 as a team total. Is that one thing you just ride? Because this lineup 1 through 9, they only need 2 innings to get those totals. And case in point last night, Jason, grand slam in the first inning. They got 5 right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you definitely look at. For me, it's really looking at the starting pitcher, knowing, what the starting pitcher has done, because you'll have that starting pitcher for most likely half of the game. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't just go straight and say, yeah, the Yankees are facing Max Scherzer, they're going to score X amount of runs. But when they're facing a guy like Ryan Weber, then yeah, I think you can kind of just blindly bet it and say, yeah, Yankees are just going to score 6, 7, 8 runs in this game. They're facing Ryan Weber, who looked horrible against the Orioles. An average fan can say, hey, Weber looked terrible versus the Orioles. I'm going to go with the Yankees here, and have the Yankees just gang up on Weber.
Ken Dowell says, Jason is a psychic. Mickey Cohen says, I'm here. Cash action bets, New York and Boston. He likes the under in this one. And Isaiah Mayashiro just subscribed. So again, SBR picks in there saying, welcome to the family. And I agree. A lot of good stuff going on here. This should be an advantageous one, depending on which side you're looking at. But I know somebody said they like the under here. It's really hard to take the under with the Yankees because they can do it themselves for the most case, Jason.
Yeah.
No, keep it simple here. 909, 910. Cincinnati and Detroit. Trevor Bauer droning in to play the Detroit Tigers Turnbulls on the mound. 8 out of every 10 tickets early here, Jason, coming in on the Cincinnati Reds. Line opened up at 144, 145 in that range. Almost a 20-cent line move to the mid-160, so minus 165 or so. But if we're taking a look at the total at SBRodds.com, opens up at 9, Jason, with a move down to 8.5. I saw some of the notes, and, we'll wrap it up at the end of the show and go over our banker bets. But this is one we're really looking at here. There's no reason why the Cincinnati Reds, as the road team with the DH getting 9 full at bats, can't get that team total, right?
Yeah, look, we talked about Spencer Turnbull, what he did last season. Yeah, 3-17, 17 losses in 30 games started. Okay, he wasn't that bad. Had a 3.99 FIP, but again, 17 losses in 30 games pitched, just 3 wins. Turnbull, he performed well against the Reds in his first start. Obviously, struck out 8, but he did walk 4, allowed 1 run, 3 hits in 5 innings. So he performed well in that first start against the Tigers, or against the Reds. But yeah, the Reds now, they bring back Mike Moustakas. They bring back Nick Senzel, 2 key guys in their lineup that are going to, already performed, when we go back to their first games back, home run in those games. So lefties, they hit Turnbull with a 298 average last season and a 370 on base percentage. Again, Moustakas, another lefty in that lineup, will be crucial next to Votto. I like the Reds team total over a 4.5 in this matchup.
Here we go with the next game, 9-11, 9-12, the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. Rick Porcello is going to take the mound, Jason. As you know, he got bombed his first start out. Newcomb looked okay, the young lefty on the mound for Atlanta. 8 out of every 10 tickets coming in now, checking in on the Atlanta Braves. But we have some reverse line movement. Opened up at 145 at Pinnacle Offshore, 150 at Chris Offshore, now showing roughly 130s across the board. And even at 5 dimes, Jason, we've dipped to minus 127, so some action coming in on New York. We saw last night the New York Mets playing in prime time, which we know might be sluggish getting out of town, now flying down to Atlanta. Maybe there's a little bit of wear and tear there, but it certainly looks like the gamblers earlier saying, even though there's not a lot of tickets, that line is ripping in the opposite direction in the favor of the New York Mets.
Yeah, this is a fun game because Sean Newcomb went to my alma mater, University of Hartford. So when I was a freshman, he was we had MLB scouts coming to Hartford, and we don't usually get that. So yeah, Sean Newcomb, he has a place in my heart for being at Hartford. I know him personally, so yeah, pretty exciting that he's pitching for the Braves and looking pretty good. So this one's tough because I love the Mets, I love Sean Newcomb. So yeah, which way do I go here? Yeah, I agree with you though. Here, the Braves at minus 130, it seems like a no-brainer at home. Again, Porcello got absolutely smacked in his first start. Newcomb's looks pretty good, has a lot of great stuff. I've seen him in person plenty of times, and man, he is good. So for me, yeah, I mean, I'm not a scout, but Newcomb had a 2.14 ERA at home in 4 starts, 25 games pitched. He pitched in relief last season, but 36 strikeouts, 17 walks, a batting average of just .193 at home. Again, Porcello, not nearly as good, a lot of hard contact. Freddie Freeman hitting .455 against Porcello in his career, so look out for Freddie Freeman and look out for Newcomb. I would go with the Braves here, as much as it pains me to do it. Braves around minus 130, minus 140, and under 10.5.
Sammy Salem says, you guys are awesome. Thanks for all the help. Jason Hines says, Jason is an X-Man? What is his X-Man skill? So obviously it is reading the future, people out there. He has the crystal ball. He knows it a day in advance. That is obviously what he does best. But also, hey, look, Newcomb, you might know him from going to school with him, but let's not forget also Rick Porcello is a New Jersey native. All the ties in the world, Jason, coming right back to you in on this game. 9:15, 9:16, the Chicago White Sox and the Kansas City Royals. Keuchel versus Bubic in this game. 8 out of every 10 tickets coming in currently here on the Chicago White Sox. If we take a look at some of the odds that opened here, offshore 160 in that range. Now sitting, not a lot of line movement here. 158s, 157s across the board. Over under, however, opened up at 10. That now sits at 9.5. Young pitcher for Kansas City on the mound, which I'm always leery going against because it's not a huge track record, but we know what we're getting out of the lefty Dallas Keuchel here.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're saying that 8 out of 10 tickets are on the White Sox because when I looked at this line, I was concerned. I'm like, what am I missing here? 150 minus 160. What am I missing? This should be like a minus 200, minus somewhere around that range with the White Sox going up against Chris Bubic of the Royals, who he only pitched in single A, never pitched double A, never pitched triple A, going straight into the majors. Now he is 23 years old. He's not a young pitcher, but again, he's never played in the MLB before. So you'd expect him to maybe go 3-5 innings at most. And I think the best way to bring him to Brady Singer, the other Royals pitcher, he's had 2 starts this season so far. He's allowed 2 runs in both those starts in just 5 innings of work in both starts. So I expect Bubic to allow 2 runs, maybe more. Maybe he has a bad start and he struggles in 1 inning, and the White Sox capitalize. But for me, Dallas Keuchel has really good numbers versus the Royals in his career. He's held them to like a 200 batting average. He's looked solid. So for me, White Sox minus 153. I got that at William Hill, but yeah, White Sox minus 153 for me. It just seems too good to be true. But in reality, like you said, we don't have any stats on the Royals pitcher. But when you're in single A and you make the jump from double A to triple A to the majors, I can't side with you.
Jonathan Cruz in the chat box says, Donnie is definitely saving the Twins and the Indians for the end for the main event. That is incorrect. The main event takes place right now, 9:17, 9:18, Cleveland and Minnesota. Clevenger and Dobnik on the mound. 60% of the tickets coming in on the Twins to open. If we look at the actual line on this game, Cleveland comes in as the favorite, opening up around minus 125. That's dipped a little bit now. It's down into the teens, minus 117, minus 118. But also taking a look at the total here, we're sitting around that 9 range, so we expect to get a pretty good pitching performance Clevenger in his first outing, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. Dobnik, 4 innings, 1 earned run. So something has to give in this game, but it's one of those where you reach back and say, sometimes you have to rethink things early in the season. Minnesota was unstoppable at the plate yesterday, getting shut out. I actually thought the Cleveland Indians would be able to go over the team total of 4. They only got the 2 despite some chances midway through that baseball game. Good matchup here in this one and a cheap price. So we just go and say, you know what? Clevenger's the better pitcher, or we can say Minnesota's going to bounce back. They ain't getting shut out or held down more than 2 days in a row here, Jason.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think when we go back, when we took Walker Buehler, we said for just a blind man, it's a blind man's bet.
Yeah.
Buehler on the mound, a really low price. We have to take Buehler. Well, here it's the same thing with Clevenger on the mound. You get it at minus 116 around that range. It's a blind man's bet again for Clevenger going up against Randy Dobnak, where I would assume that half of the chat doesn't even know who he is, right? So, in reality though, yeah, I mean Clevenger at minus 116 seems like the play. We talk about yesterday how Bieber shut them down. Well, last season Clevenger actually averaged more strikeouts than Bieber did per 9 innings. So Clevenger, another big strikeout guy. The Twins, they have fans left and right. Yesterday, I do expect that to happen again. And again, the Indians, they have a great offense too. They can go up against the Twins throughout the entire season with their offense. They have a bunch of switch hitters that can righty-lefty matchup and all those different kinds of things. I like the Indians here at minus 116. It's an official play for me.
78 people watching live, and I got to tell you guys, we can't thank you enough. 65,200 to start the week subscribers, now up to 65,600. Let's grow this. Pretty soon, Jason, we're going to be doing some shows, wrapping it up, saying thank you to our 100,000th subscriber. It's coming. We're going to certainly take care of that. Let's keep moving here. 921, 922, Pittsburgh and the Chicago Cubs, a central matchup. Williams versus Darvish. Heavy ticket count coming in on the Chicago Cubs to start today, and the line is moving in the correct direction, Jason. Opened up about 170, 175 offshore. Now we're getting that 2-to-1 price, even as high as minus 205 from Chris. Opened up 9 to 8.5 as a total. Now sitting 8.5 across the board. One of the guys things that I like about Trevor Williams, he's going to pound the strike zone, but if you're a team that's able to hit like the Chicago Cubs, there's not any smoke and mirrors. You're not worried about changing speeds and pitches and some nasty hooks. He's going to pound it. So if you bring the bats to the game, you should be able to hit. Similar to what I was looking at yesterday with the Kansas City Royals and Ivan Nova. If you're not a monster strikeout guy, the Cubs should be able to put it in play. Total at 8.5. We're expecting a good outing from Darvish, but the wind is blowing in Chicago today. So always keep that on your mind. Jason, what are we looking at in this game from your perspective?
Yeah, like you said, for Williams, he only struck out less than 7 batters per 9 innings, so 6.98, which is concerning. He had an ERA of 5.38, an FIP of 5.12. He went just 3.2 innings in his first start, allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts, and 1 walk versus the Cardinals. On the road last season, he went 4-5 with a 5.24 ERA in 14 games started, allowed almost a .280 batting average. The lefties, they hit him with a 335 average. There's some power lefties in that Cubs lineup. Rizzo, Schwarber, Hayward, Caratini. So a lot of lefties that can do damage against Williams as well, especially when you're throwing strikes. And the Cubs can definitely slug that ball. And then, with Darvish on the mound, he only went 4 innings in his first start. Allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, had 5 strikeouts and no walks. I do think, again, looking at his numbers from last season, had a 4.96 home ERA in 15 games started. Righties hit just 181 though in 315 plate appearances. So there's some good news with Darvish and there's some bad news with Darvish. Of course, Darvish is a much better pitcher than Williams. So with that said, I would rather look at the Cubs team total at 4.5 and not worry about what Darvish does, or worry about what Williams does against those lefties in the Cubs lineup. So I'll look at Cubs over the team total of 4.5. I do think over 8.5 is pretty low though. Even though we're talking about the wind blowing in or whatever the case might be, for Williams and Darvish, 8.5 seems pretty low to me.
Yeah, and we're also not talking about some days in the Windy City where it's 25 miles an hour dead from center field. It's about 10 miles an hour, which is negligible. And also keep in mind, you're looking at a new type of Wrigley Field that when we used to look at some of these statistics, there weren't giant jumbotrons field that are actually trying to knock the wind down. So these guys can hit some laser beams out. We'll see what takes place there. 9:10. We're going to go with the night game here. 9:23, 9:24. Houston and the Angels. McCullers versus Andresi. 8 out of 10 tickets coming in on Houston. So a lot of high disparages early with tickets in some of these outcomes. Line opened up depending where he's shopping. Now, Chris had an early lineup, -150. Houston, -175 at Pinnacle. So keep in mind some of those are going to fluctuate. But this line's settling in around 175, 180 across the board as we take a look at some key bits of information here with the Angels. Even though they're getting hot at the plate, they're going to lose Mike Trout maybe for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, depending on when he comes after the birth of his first child, which is a boy. So watch out in about 20 years. One daddy's going to make $400 million. Maybe another guy's going to come behind there and make $500 million. But that is a huge loss. He's one of the few guys in baseball, Jason, when he's out of the lineup, it's like 20 to 25 cent move immediately, if not more, just for one batter. What are we looking at in this game? We're just going to say we're going to lean on McCullers in that hot Houston lineup, or you say, you know what, LA's at home. Andresi had a decent start to start the season. It might be worthy of a big dog at home here.
Yeah, we talk about Mike Trout, and that's fine, but Trout really hasn't performed to the best of his ability this season anyway. It's been really more, with Rendon being back. I mean, that helps their lineup for sure. Andresi, he pitched in relief because of Ohtani not being able to get a single out in that game. Went 5.2 innings, allowed 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, and no runs. Looked really good in that start. So for me, Lance McCullers, he went 6 innings, allowed 5 hits, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, and also 3 walks with a home run against the Mariners. For me, I'm looking at Angels plus 160 and saying, well, that's pretty enticing little underdog play right there. If you're looking at one, because again, Andresi looked really good in his game for the Angels to keep the Angels in that game once Ohtani came out. I like Andresi. I mean, for one thing though, righties, they hit 286 against Andresi last season. Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Correa. I mean, the list goes on with the righties in the Astros lineup. So yeah, I mean, I'm not taking this game, but I do think Andresi is a better pitcher than McCullers for this matchup. Yeah, so Angels plus 160. That's where I'd lean. I'd also lean towards over 9. I think there will be a lot of scoring in this game.
Talking about overs, how about this? We just hit over 300 watching live in the chat box. Thanks so much for that. Looks like may be having a little bit of audio issues from what they're saying in the chat box. Trust me, you don't want me to turn my mic up. I might blow your speakers completely out at this point. But hey, we'll get it fixed out. We're using some new equipment behind the scenes. The guys are working hard. These shows are designed to look the best they can because, hey, when you look at the face right here, I need all the help I certainly can get. Now, we got about 4 games left to go. We like to open up to the chat box. About 10 minutes left in the show. Why don't we keep going until I see some things in the box? Let's circle back, Jason. 9-9 out there in Colorado this year. Richards versus Gray, about a 50-50 ticket split. How about this? Gray opens up as a favorite, roughly around 120. Now we're seeing it dial back to about a pick'em here. 11.5s across the board. Chris actually showing an 11 now, but the majority of them at 11.5. Gray, who's had some decent numbers, Jason, talking to you before the show at home. We'll see if that goes. The one thing I like about this game is if we're taking a look at totals in again, as long as you're not looking at a 7.5 number from a team, it's doable. 5.5 on both sides. But keep in mind also, people, this is the first time we're going to get a DH at Coors Field. Usually at least the pitcher gets a breather when the other pitcher comes up. That's not going to be the case now. So I'm squaring up right now, taking a look early at the San Diego Padres team total over 5.5. I think it's a decent look here because even if Gray pitches really well, you got to go the full 9 innings. Nobody's going to get a breather. And it's Colorado with 85-degree temperatures. I like the way this looks now. I think they can get a total here, Jason.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that. I'd be on the Padres at -110 if I had to choose this game. Of course, I'm just going to sit back and watch this game. I just don't know how it's going to unfold. It's a really interesting game. The Padres, their offense has been really hot. Obviously, coming off a 12 run performance the last game, scoring 6 in the final inning. But for me, it's kind of shaky just knowing that the Padres. The Rockies, they struggled at home. And then the Padres, I don't know. For me, it's just a game for me. 3.46 ERA for Gray, went 6-2 for Colorado in 12 games started. Lefties hit 272 against him last season. They're potentially going to be 5 lefties in the lineup for the Padres. Yeah, this one's it's just a tough game for me. If I had to side with the team, it'd be the Padres. So I do agree with your Padres team total. So we'll have to see where that goes. I think under 11.5 that would be my play if I had to choose a bigger play in this one. It's a high number for Richards, a guy that to me I feel like he's an all-star pitcher when he's healthy, and then for for Gray, he does have good numbers, but like you said, the bullpen comes in. I do think the Padres will definitely be able to hit the Rockies bullpen for sure in Coors
Uh,
Field.
All right, boys in the chat box, when you get on 929, 930, Jason, that is Oakland and Seattle. Manet is on the mound, the lefty for Oakland versus Taijuan Walker. 8 out of every 10 tickets piling up on Oakland at this point, and the line is moving in their direction. Chris Offshore at SBRodds.com, minus 175, all the way up to minus 194. Not a great start to the season for Taijuan Walker, and it just seems every Seattle game seems to be going over the total. Is that going to continue here? Nice little late cap, 9:40 p.m. Eastern, where Oakland and Seattle tee it up out there.
Yeah, I think this game definitely goes over. But what's concerning is Sean Manaea on the mound. He did receive the loss in his first outing. Allowed 5 hits, 4 earned runs in 4.2 innings, 3 strikeouts, no walks, 1 home run versus the Angels. But I think we all know that he has ace potential and ace material when he's on. And so, like Walker, he allowed 5 runs on 7 hits in 3.1 innings against the Astros, just 1 strikeout, 1 walk. Also allowed a home run in his loss. So both these pitchers coming off of losses in their first starts. I like the Athletics since they have the better team in general. Um, right now, we're seeing the Mariners games are going all over. And I think that Athletics bullpen, when they're holding onto leads, they have a great bullpen, and the guys are really producing and performing for the most part. So for me, the Athletics would be the play. I don't know about minus 1.5, though. It is kind of concerning with the way the Mariners are hitting right now. The Mariners are hot right now, low key. So for me, I think over 9 would be the play. Maybe Athletics on the team total, uh, but it's a game that I'm going to be staying away from.
All good, man. Jim Rummy says, I loved the Mariners yesterday. Well, how about today, Jim Rummy? You love them today, too? ZZZ Dina 45, Jason, come back to KBO. And Jack Holleran says, Donnie, looking good today. So it's all in the chat box. Here's what we're going to have one game left here before we give out our bankers. I'm going to let Jason choose this game. 2 left here. Are we going Texas, San Francisco, or are we going Dodgers, Arizona for you, Jason? Where are we going here?
I look at Texas Rangers because I really do expect the Texas Rangers. When I looked at the line, I was kind of confused. It said minus 125, and I'm looking at it like, well, Mike Minor versus Logan Webb. How is Mike Minor just a minus 125? I know the Rangers are on the road. I know Logan Webb. Yeah, I don't really know much about Logan Webb, to be fair, but yeah, a 5.22 ERA in 39.2 innings last season. Mike Minor, left on base 80% of runners last season, 3.59 ERA. I don't know how the Rangers lose this game. So if you had a lean on this one, Rangers minus 125. But I do think the Rangers will score some runs in this one. So Rangers team total over. And also, I mean, the game is just over 8, which seems really low as well. So over on that one as well. I think a lot of these games today are going to be really high scoring. I haven't really talked about any first 5 unders, which is my specialty. I'm really good at those. I didn't name any today because there's really nothing on the slate that really stands out for me. So I'm looking at a lot of games that will probably be over.
No, I agree with you there. And taking a look at some just, opens up, if we're talking about the Texas-San Francisco game, Jason, 147, 155, all the way down to 116, and just some odd openings. Like Pinnacle opens up at 9.5, that's now 8. So sometimes those things get a little bit messed up, and maybe a pitching change or somebody was a late substitute in there. But it's kind of an odd line movement for these two ball clubs matching up specifically for Texas going on the road here. But the time has come. We're 30 minutes in. It's time to make some money today. One game that I do like on the card today is the San Diego team total over 5.5. minus 115, getting that light air, 85 degrees. We're already in summer hitting weather, no DH. I think the Padres will be good for 6+ runs. But my banker of the day, we're going to the Rust Belt with Cincinnati, and I'm going to go over 4.5, minus 120. 5 out of the 9 batters today for the Reds are expected to be from the left-hand side. I'm going to get a full 9 at-bats to go against Detroit. Similar to last night, those Kansas City, no reason to believe here. I can't get 5 out of my Reds today. That's my banker. Jason, take it away. How are we making some money with your bankers and best bets today?
Yeah, so let's start off with the Reds at 4.5. I got that same play over on the team total. So I'll make that the banker play as well, and we will have a show banker. So it's a double, the Donnie and Jason special, whatever you want to call it, but we're both on that play. And I love that play for the Reds over on the team total of 4.5. We'll also look at the Cubs team total of 4.5. I like the Indians at minus 116. Going to look at the White Sox at minus 153. A little hefty on the price, but again, the Royals have a single A pitcher on the mound going up against Dallas Keuchel. And so I'm going to pay up a little bit more for that game for the White Sox. And then also I'll take the Yankees over 5.5, their team
Love it.
total as well. Again, some of these sports books have 6.5 or 6. You want that 5.5, so go check SBR, look for the best odds, and look for the best sports books to have those odds, and make sure you get the best prices.
Jason, what a week it's been, my friend. Monday through Friday, letting it rip each and every day. We're building some momentum here. As I said, over 315 people watching right all the way through to get the bankers and best bets. We do thank you guys so much for that. Jason, I'm going to recharge over the weekend, but you know what? Monday, back bright and early. Well, maybe bright and early if you're on the West Coast, but 1:30 p.m. Eastern time all the way through. We'll continue it right here on sportsbookreview.com. This is the Major League Baseball Show.